Welcome to Fuse Logic TV. I'm your host, Rob Hislop. Our shows are coming to you from the White Mud Equine Center. We are here for the Alberta Council of Technology's event called Twilight in the Meadows. We'll be interviewing a number of people. Let's get started. And joining us right now is Matt Sponiar. Matt, thanks very much for being here on Fuse Logic TV.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
You're at the University of Alberta. You're an undergraduate student there.
Yeah, in mechanical engineering.
Okay, and you've come up with something, and we saw it wheeling around, and we've got some pictures of it. You've developed a car.
Student interpretation of something like that, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Now, we're not going to see it out on the street right now, but tell us a little bit about what you've come up with.
So I guess what our group is focusing on is sustainability and innovation, and applying that to a product that we developed. So that's our single-seater vehicle. And the ultimate goal is to compete it in competitions against other student groups across North America.
So what is unique about your vehicle?
I think the really neat aspect about our project is that throughout it we focused on sustainability. So not only did we look at having an efficient drive system that was zero emission, but throughout the entire design process we tried to incorporate sustainable solutions to kind of encompass the entire project. For example, the core of the material or the core of the chassis is a foam, but instead of being a standard foam, it's a soy-based foam that's being developed in the States. So just kind of little touches like that try to address all of the sustainable issues around your vehicle.
Now, sustainability it almost seems like it's a catchphrase today. You're hearing it, doesn't matter what industry you're in, you're hearing it. Sounds like you're actually trying to put it into practice here, as opposed to just saying the words.
That has always been the focus, and I think the nice thing being a student group is you really get the flexibility to say, hey, we're looking to showcase your product. It might not be on the market, but developing a foam out of soy-based materials, that's something really interesting. Would you mind if we incorporate it into our project? And they say, oh, right ahead, we'd love the extra exposure. So things like that, I think being a student group really helps. And then you can really walk what you're talking as well when you do things like that.
And so it's an electric car?
Yeah, so it's a hydrogen fuel cell concept. So the hydrogen fuel cell is in a sense a battery with an external fuel source. And that through a chemical process converts the hydrogen to electricity, which is fed to the motors.
So usually when I think of people developing cars and coming up with new innovation, I'm picturing people at a plant, say Ford, Chrysler, something like that, working on it. Where do you get the technology and the know-how to be able to put something like this together?
I think that's definitely twofold. The one thing that really helps is collaboration and working with companies and people that have that expertise that you can say, well, would you be interested in partnering with our project? And you can take on technologies that have already been developed. The other thing is kind of harnessing the interest and passion of students. I think that's something that when a lot of students are in school, they're just getting through their classes and, okay, now I got to get my grades so I can pass and get the degree and move on with life. But there really is a lot of talent there that you can tap into and a lot of drive to learn these new things. You're really in a learning environment. So if I need the electrical guys to say, well, how does a buck boost converter work, or some of these more complicated aspects of the drivetrain, they're just going to sit down and try to fire through the details until they've got something that works. So really combining the passion of students with kind of the collaborations and partnerships with industry, that's kind of that perfect mix for getting the new technologies out into a product like a little car.
Also the freedom as well. A freedom
that as well.
You may not have once you enter into the workforce.
And that's definitely true. I think the nice thing about our project is we don't need to be looking at the customer. We're more showcasing technologies that certain aspects of them can be incorporated into conventional vehicles, but as a package, we don't need to say, well, will people buy our car, and then all of a sudden base our business model around that. So that flexibility there is definitely an advantage.
So you come to an event like Twilight in the Park, put on by ABCtech, showing off your vehicle, obviously. What was the response from people here?
I think there's a lot of excitement about things like this because there's a lot of talk about new technologies and things like that, but it's always very difficult to have something that you can set your eyes on and you can see. So whenever you bring a new product like this, even though, as you can see from the footage, ours is student-built, handmade, it doesn't really have some of the bells and whistles that conventional vehicles have, but people really see that, oh, students came together and put all the components in and the car drives. So there's kind of a lot of interest around that. And the other thing is, people seem to ask a lot of technical questions that we initially weren't prepared for. We thought, oh, what's the top speed, things like that. But people really want to dive into the technical content and say, well, how does your fuel cell work and why is this more efficient than what I'm driving today?
Because those are the people that come to this sort of event as well.
And I think definitely, yes, events like this where the focus is a little bit more, the people have that background interest, it really brings out those interesting questions.
So do you think you forged some partnerships by coming here tonight, or at least some interest from other people?
I would say the interest for sure in partnerships. Well, we've got a couple of people that we've been talking with, and hopefully that goes forward. And I think the crowd here is always very positive. So you're not gonna, I think anybody you talk to, you just have to be creative about how you can form a collaboration or partnership with them. It's not always, oh well, thanks for the sponsorship, we could use the money to buy this and this component. I think it really branches outside of that, and when you can see that, it really makes these events rewarding and worthwhile.
So back to the car then for a sec. How long has it taken you to get to the stage that you're at now?
So it's been almost a 2-year process, and the team officially formed September 2010. That was when we started looking at advertising at the university and looking for student involvement. The first 4 months was just organization, getting our team established on campus, going through things like administrative and bureaucracy, things that had to be taken care of. The next 4 months were getting everybody up to speed. So while we have electrical engineering students, mechanical engineering students, business students that are involved, you don't necessarily learn how to design a car in classes. You learn the fundamentals of design, and then applying that to a project like this, there's a lot of learning that goes in. So the next 4 months was kind of a learning process, and then from then on, that left almost a year to go through the full design of the vehicle and then the build as well. And then we competed just this March.
And how did you do?
We actually managed to pull a second place finish off, which we were very pleased with as a first time team. There was a lot of stress going down there and things going wrong, but in the end, I think everything came together and we were happy with the result.
Where did you go?
I was a competition down in Houston, the Shell Eco Marathon.
So it'd be people from all over the continent or all
so
over
there
the
was,
world?
the majority of the teams were American universities and high schools, and then there was Canada, Brazil, as well as Mexican teams that competed.
Okay, so quite an accomplishment then to finish second.
It was definitely, we were very proud of that result, coming in as a first-time team and really not having that much exposure to events such as this, and a lot of the troubleshooting with the vehicle really pulled a lot out of the members involved, but I think everybody kind of said, well, we're really proud of what we're doing here and let's push till the very end.
So where do you go now?
So now we're kind of in that limbo zone where we're looking at what's the next opportunity for us. The one thing that's always been on our radar is there's the World Solar Challenge that happens every 2 years in Australia, and now they've opened that up to any technology, so you don't need to run with a solar car. And that's a 3,000 kilometer highway race across Australia, so that's a very exciting technical challenge to tackle. And now we're kind of in those initial stages where we're looking at the technologies and looking at the funding to see if this is something we can compete in, and that would definitely be something we'd like to use this car that we have now as a stepping stone and move forward to a much more challenging competition where the vehicles are traveling highway speeds and they're becoming much closer to what we see on the roads today.
Matt, thank you very much and good luck.
No problem. Thank you very much.
Pleasure having you here on Fuse Logic TV.